Time to get the facts in the 2024 race for president. Vice President Kamala Harris was here in the Granite State Wednesday, and in her speech, she made several claims about former President Trump's economic plan, including this statement in which she criticized the plan to put tariffs on goods shipped into the U.S., saying that would be, quote, in effect, a national sales tax, which would skyrocket costs. Talking about Trump's plan there. Lou Jacobson back with us once again from PolitiFact. Lou, great to see you. So what did you guys find about this particular statement?
Yeah, thanks. So Trump has repeatedly proposed wide-ranging tariffs on foreign goods, including an across-the-board tariff of about 10 to 20%, plus a 60% levy on goods from China. Although tariffs are imposed separately from the tax system, it's basically pretty fair for Harris to say that consumers would feel their impact in much the same way as they do from taxes. However, the specific dollar amount that the average household could be hit does vary. It's a judgment call on whether this would be skyrocketing of costs, which is the term Harris used. But in a previous speech, Harris said that the hit would be about $4,000 per household. We found two estimates which generally supported that figure of 4,000. Two studies showed a smaller, although still significant impact. And so we rated the statement in which she used the $4,000 figure half true.
I see. And much of that, Lou, has to do with the fact that the assumption is the tariffs would then go to the companies and that would pass on the price to consumers as opposed to, an actual tax increase, as it were.
Correct. Yeah. Basically, if you buy any imported good, chances are pretty good that the company is going to pass along the extra tariff to you, and it will come out of your pocket in the end.
Okay. She also, when she was here in New Hampshire, made statements about Trump's health care plan. In the same New Hampshire speech this week, the vice president made this claim, saying he, meaning Trump, intends to end the Affordable Care Act. Now, the former president has made some past comments about the Affordable Care Act. What did PolitiFact find about his position?
Yeah, so Trump has said several times over the years that he does want to replace the ACA. In fact, he campaigned on a promise to end the law in 2016, and that came fairly close to passing the Senate, but it did fail in the end. In late 2023, Trump did say a few times that he would replace the law. Trump has subsequently walked that back. He wrote on social media in March that he isn't running to terminate the healthcare law, but instead he wants to make it, quote, better and, quote, less expensive. Trump really hasn't said how he would do this. He hasn't provided any details. And in fact, for years, he really hasn't provided any kind of guidance on what sort of replacement he would back. So it's basically impossible to know where Trump stands in terms of ending this law. His most recent statements suggest he won't repeal the law, but it's impossible for us to predict what Trump will do if he does win a new term.
Two very important issues voters looking at. PolitiFact's Lou Jacobson, thanks so much.
Great, thank you very much.